Welcome everybody to LeagueMed's 5x5 podcast. We're joined here today by the CEO and co-founder of SemPresto, Liz Reczek. And I'm really excited for her to tell the story about the innovation that they've created and the market they're fulfilling with their product. But first, a little bit about LeagueMed. LeagueMed is a fintech investment platform that was created to bring two really important communities together. One is innovative young companies in the medical technology, medical device, and health diagnostics area who have proven concept for their innovation. It's not for startups, it's for for companies that have proven their concept and need funding to scale their growth. And then the other community is the group of healthcare professionals, doctors, other healthcare professionals who are interested in access to private companies, particularly those where they can use their clinical expertise to advance the field of medical innovation and diversify their portfolios and potentially gain wealth creation during the process. We're really excited about our platform. We have a full pipeline of deals on our platform like SemPresto, and we're excited for anybody who's interested to take a look. Our podcast called 5x5 is named after radio transmissions. Radio transmissions are evaluated on their ability to be very clear, 1 through 5, and very loud, 1 through 5. And our goal here is to amplify the innovations through promoting them and making them available on a variety of different platforms, the CEO innovators and alternative asset investors and experts to bring our two communities together, the medical community or young, promising young companies. So I'm really happy to read her introduction. She is a co-founder and CEO of SemPresto. As we said, she is a cancer biologist by training with a BA in biochemical sciences from Harvard University and a PhD in biology from MIT. She has spent her career in small biotech and life sciences companies, developing innovative therapeutics, diagnostics, and medical devices for a range of health conditions. She served as a CEO of Neutron Therapeutics, SEG1, and XL Immune, and has raised over $25 million in private capital to support her companies. She co-founded SemPresto to solve a problem that she and her daughter both personally struggle with, how to consistently remember to carry their EpiPens. So Liz, with that, let's dive in. You've spent your career as a bench scientist. It's a big leap to become an entrepreneur where you're on the front line of making a company work. Tell us a little bit about that journey and what prompted you to take that big leap.
Absolutely. Happy to do that. But first, I just want to say thank you to you, Kate, and also to LeagueMed for giving us the opportunity to talk about SemPresto. We're very excited to get the word out about what we're developing, and I'm really excited to tell the group here about our product and the problem that we're solving. But a little bit about my journey. As you said, I come from an academic background. I was at the bench to begin my career and really enjoyed that hands-on process of building technologies. But over time, I was able to move into management and eventually into the leadership of companies, and eventually became CEO of the first company I joined, which was XL Immune, developing antibody combination therapeutics. And since then, I have spent my whole career in small companies like this, and I just love the teamwork-oriented nature of the early stage company, the ability to wear multiple hats, learn things on the fly, and develop really cool cutting-edge things for people. And I really enjoy the real impact that one can have in a company, as opposed to just discovery, which is of course very, very important. Basic research is critically important, but I personally gravitate towards that, hands-on, creating practical things that people can benefit from. And, in terms of, the risk that's involved in early stage startups, that's something I love and thrive on. I think really taking the opportunity to, design and develop products is something that I'm really passionate about.
And of course, bringing it to market and creating adoption of your product, you get to also see the positive impact that the innovation has.
Absolutely.
And I know it's really, really rewarding. Tell us a little bit about the personal stories that kind of created the idea of SemPresto and how it personally affects you and other members of your team as an illustration of why it's so important.
Of course. So the initial concept for SemPresto came from my co-founder, Dr. Ed Probitkin, who's the chief physician executive at Jefferson Health. And really, it came from an argument that he had with his daughter when she didn't want to take her bulky EpiPen to the prom. And so for those of you who know EpiPens, they are big and clunky. I have to carry one of these around with me, and my daughter does. And Dr. Probitkin's daughter did not have room in her purse for this when she was headed off to the prom, and she refused to take it with her. So he lost that battle, but he sat down and thought of a concept for a new kind of EpiPen, one that would fit on the back of her cell phone, which of course she always had with her everywhere she went. So that resulted in a patent that was awarded, and was owned by Jefferson Health. And when I first became aware of this concept through a conversation with my other co-founder, Sean Marcel, who's a Boston area entrepreneur that I've known for many years, I just fell in love with the idea immediately. So as I mentioned, this is a challenge for myself and my daughter. We know it very well. And to have something that would fit on the back of our cell phone was just so compelling to me that I was really excited to join forces with Ed and Sean to launch SemPresto in 2024 and make this product a reality.
Hold that EpiPen up again. I'm thinking teenagers who walk out of their house with this only.
Yep.
And what do you even put that in if you're not carrying a purse? Do you have to take a backpack all the time? It seems like it would be so easy to say the chances of something happening are remote. I'm not going to do it now, and leaving it behind. So, and I know we're going to get into this later, but just worth double clicking, so to speak. What percent of people walk out of the house who really need an EpiPen, and what percent of people walk out of the house without it?
So the number is really dismal, actually. So more than 60% of people don't have an EpiPen with them when they actually have an allergic reaction. So that, that's the number that actually have it when they need it. That doesn't, speak to the fact that I think an even higher percentage of people don't have it with them on a daily basis. Yep. And it is a calculus that we all go through every day. So, I have a fish allergy. When I go out to dinner, I have to make a decision about, what bag I'm taking, whether I should take this, whether I can avoid my food. We sort of outsource our healthcare to the people that are serving us our food, and we trust that they will do that properly if we tell them what our allergies are. So that's risky, and every physician that you talk to will tell you that you should be carrying this with you everywhere you go, no matter whether you think you can avoid your allergen or not. But so many people don't, and it's a real risk.
Mm-hmm. And the ramifications of that are healthcare costs, but obviously the potential fatal outcomes as well as other health outcomes for not carrying something because you're in a hurry and you forgot it.
Absolutely. And the statistics prove that out as well. So we know very well that early epinephrine is really the best treatment for anaphylaxis and the only treatment for anaphylaxis that's effective. And the earlier you get it, the less likely you are to have severe reaction that requires hospitalization. And early epinephrine treatment also correlates with lower risk of death as well.
Awesome. All right, so tell us a little bit about what your breakthrough is with your product, MagSafe, I think it's called, and tell us about the innovation, and then we'll get into kind of IP and how it's protected.
Sure. So our product is the SemPresto device, as you see here on my phone. So this is designed to replace this. As you can see, it is a very sleek, slim auto injector. It's been redesigned to fit in a magnetic case. MagSafe is what iPhones and Android phones now have QI2 magnetic charging capabilities. And so what we've done is build a magnet into the case for the auto injector so that it attaches to the back of your phone. It's effortless to put it on there when you want to take it with you and to take it off when you need it. And then you simply pull it out of the protective case, remove the safety, and then it's ready to use like a regular EpiPen. You press it into your thigh and hold for a few seconds to inject the medication. It's that simple. So we've designed it to be very similar to the process for using a standard EpiPen, so that people that are familiar with EpiPen or AuviQ pretty much already know how to use it. And of course, it's got instructions right on it that you can read if you need a refresher. But that's the innovation. So we have taken the gold standard auto injection mechanism, the gold standard medication. We haven't changed anything about that except to make it slim and much easier to carry without thinking about it. So once it's attached to the phone, you're going to take this phone with you everywhere you go, and your epinephrine will be with you everywhere you go.
So lots of questions come to me having seen that. First of all, it's awesome that it's so small and that the process of using it is so similar to EpiPen that people don't need to learn it again. But can anybody do this? Why is SemPresto leading in this field, or what is it that makes you protectable about this? It feels so simple, it almost doesn't seem possible that not everybody else can do it too.
Right. So it does seem like such a conceptually obvious thing, and we're asked that all the time. Why has nobody done this before? And in fact, that was our first question when we first started looking into the space. And it turns out that Dr. Probitkin's patent is the earliest patent to describe attaching a medical device, an auto injector, to a cell phone. And so it's a very, very broad patent, which gives us very strong protection. When we first founded the company, we commissioned a landscape analysis from our patent counsel at Wilson Sonsini, and they did actually identify 2 other suites of IP from 2 separate inventors who had similar ideas to attach an auto injector to the back of a cell phone. We investigated and inquired with them, and in fact, were able to acquire both of those patent portfolios. So we now have a very strong patent portfolio that includes 15 issued patents that are both in the U.S. and globally, and we've also got 10 additional pending patents between those 3 portfolios, and some additional new IP that the company itself has filed. So this covers everything from the attachment of the device to the cell phone, the protection of the case, as well as safety mechanisms and heat shielding and things like that would make it very difficult for a fast follower to come in and design something that would function as well as the device that SemPresto is building.
So in summary, it's a very, very broad set of purchased licenses as well as patents that cover basically putting a magnet on the back of the phone with an EpiPen.
Exactly, yes. And some of our more recent filings also include other delivery mechanisms, which give us the ability to expand into other products, including nasal sprays, potentially inhalers, and other kinds of drug delivery. But as I mentioned, we are starting with the gold standard auto injector because that is the trusted way to deliver this kind of medication.
So in terms of approvals, you are not needing to get FDA approvals for the epinephrine or the drug that's in it. It's only for how you carry it on your phone, which solves a lot of headaches that could be upcoming in terms of FDA approvals of the medication itself. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, because we are starting with epinephrine, which is an approved product that has had clinical trials in the past and is accepted as the main treatment, the definitive treatment for anaphylaxis. We do not have to carry out clinical trials ourselves to show the efficacy of the drug component of the product. So what we are doing is following a pathway called the 505(b)(2) pathway, which is the same pathway that's been followed by all of the other epinephrine auto-injectors in the space, including EpiPen itself when it first came out, but also AviQ, all of the generics, et cetera. So this is a well-trodden path, no surprises. We do not have to do any clinical trials. We only have to show the function of our device and the usability of it through human factors testing to show that patients know how to use it and can use it properly in an emergency. And we have to show that our device does inject the right volume, the right depth in the tissue through ex vivo type of demonstrations, but not clinical trials.
You do need to, and what's the timing for when you're going to file that with the FDA?
So we'll be prepared to file with FDA likely in Q1 of 2028, and we expect approval in late 2028.
Okay, great. Now let's talk a little bit about the business itself. The science is exciting. The behavioral fix, if you will, is exciting without having to recreate the medicine itself and the drug itself. Tell us a little bit about the business in terms of how big the market is and what you think your place in that market can be.
Absolutely. So it's a huge market. There are 33 million Americans today in the US that suffer from food allergies, and that's not even counting people that have bee sting allergies, medication allergies, et cetera. Each one of those patients has to carry an EpiPen essentially for the rest of their lives due to the unpredictable nature of allergies. Even if you grow out of it, you're still supposed to carry an EpiPen just in case. And also patients, parents and caregivers tend to purchase additional EpiPens to carry so that they can aid in an emergency. So it's not just the patients themselves, but it's a very large market. The market for Epi auto injectables has been estimated at around 3 billion in the US and close to 5 to 6 billion globally, and that's been rising. So food allergy has been rising over the previous decades, and we don't see any slowing in the growth there. So it's a huge market. And clearly, it's one that's not being served properly because 60% of people are not using their medication when they need it because they don't have it. So we're tackling that.
Tell us a little bit about your go-to-market strategy. In our conversation earlier, you have a lot of really creative ideas about how to go to market, including how to work with pharmacies, et cetera, and also potential extensions of your product that might provide additional revenue streams.
Sure. So obviously, this is a prescription product. It will need to be prescribed by a physician, and it will likely be accessed by most patients through the standard pharmacies and through pharmacy benefit managers, et cetera. However, as we all know, there's been a growth in alternative prescription medication delivery through things such as the Hims and Hers pharmacy, Ro, and Mark Cuban's Cost Plus pharmacy. All of these things getting prescriptions to patients faster, more conveniently, and more inexpensively. And we think that our product is really well suited to some of those alternative platforms. The reason being because it is a very consumer-facing product. It's something that we think that patients will ask for by name once they get used to having it. Once they're aware of it and they know that it exists and they just want to reorder it. What I haven't mentioned is that we actually are also developing a companion application that will go on the phone. So the phone provides a lot of possibility for extra functions to help patients both get refills, to be trained on how to use the device so that they remember in the moment, and to get guidance in the moment for how to properly inject. And we're also partnered with a group called Health Alliance Global and their Heal All platform to provide 24/7 emergency medicine telehealth to patients for a small subscription fee through our app. So we're very excited about this because not having the medication is only one of the reasons why people don't inject themselves during an emergency, but there's a lot of confusion and fear that goes along with having an anaphylactic reaction, and we're designing the app to be able to help patients to recognize anaphylaxis, properly use their medication, and then get help when they need it the most.
So your product is really surrounded by a set of services to support people that have danger of anaphylactic shock, or support people whose loved ones have a danger of anaphylactic shock through the app, through the pharmaceutical help, through the product itself, and this partnership that you have.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you mentioned, bystanders and caregivers, and that is actually another focus here because the patient themselves may know how to inject, but they also may not be able to do it in the moment if they pass out, for instance, or incapacitated. Right. So having something on the phone with a panic button that a bystander could press to get the steps to walk through, we think that will be really helpful to bystanders and caregivers in properly administrating the medication if the patient themselves cannot do it.
Yeah, in an emergency situation, yeah. Your pricing strategy is also forward-thinking, if I might say, in terms of how you're thinking about pricing it, but also how that relates to your COG. So go through that a little bit for our audience.
Sure. I think anyone that's aware of this space knows that there's been a long history of price gouging, and there is really no appetite for that anymore amongst patients and clinicians. And so we're really taking a totally different approach here. So in designing our device, which has a relatively small number of parts, it's around 20 parts. It's a very simple spring-loaded mechanism. The cost of goods at scale we anticipate will be around $15 per device. And so we are targeting the lower mid range of the current market today to allow patients to purchase the device at around $225. So we do know that the majority of patients will still get it through their prescription benefits at their typical copay, but we're also looking at ways to make sure that we can get the device to patients who don't have prescription coverage through some of these alternative direct-to-consumer mechanisms. And of course, we will have coupon programs and things to assist patients to make sure that they can get the medication that they need.
So auto refill is such an important part of the pharmacy land for people who need medications on a regular basis. How does autofill, could it work with an EpiPen, which you use it up when you need it, but you might not need it very often? So is there a specific timing that auto refill would work that you could make as part of your offering?
So having the app on the phone gives us the opportunity to essentially remind patients when they need to be refilled. So when you get the SemPresto device from the pharmacy or in the mail, however you receive it, there will be a QR code on the device itself, which you can scan through the app. And that will load the refill information, the expiration date, et cetera, so that the patient will get notifications when their prescription is, when their device is expiring and they need to refill their prescription. And of course, we'll make it easy for them to connect to whatever pharmacy they have indicated they'd like to get it refilled through, so that we can streamline the process for them and make sure that they get a refill when they need it. That's our
So in addition to the innovation itself, in terms of the magnetic attachment to the phone, you've really thought through the consumer experience. How do they use it? How do they refill it? How do they learn it? Who are their partners? Who are their caregivers? Feels like you've really thought about the whole patient and caregiver experience and be able to be part of their journey every step of the way, should it be needed. Well, obviously the hope that it's not needed, but there's a lot of more peace of mind walking out or sending your teenager to a prom with their phone, which of course they'll carry with the EpiPen in it. So sounds really exciting. Tell us a little about your current investors and what you're hoping for this round of fundraising in terms of what investors you're looking for.
Sure. So SemPresto was very lucky early on to receive a very generous $2.5 million investment from an angel who's associated with Jefferson Hospital, where my co-founder, Ed Probitkin, is located. And so that early investment enabled us to develop the prototype that we now have. And since that investment, we've received a huge response from other angel investors. It turns out that this product is, people want it so much that they're willing to vote with their pocketbooks. And so we've been able to raise another almost $1 million in the last few months to support the further development of the product and to bring it to market. So we're very excited to have that level of support and that breadth of support from a wide range of investors. And we're looking to continue to raise. We're targeting $10 million for this C round, and bringing together a variety of different investors who believe in the product that we're looking to bring to patients.
And of the physicians who are interested in this, do they tend to be related to the practice somehow, or is it more of a personal experience that they've seen friends and loved ones have this experience, or is there a certain specialty that's particularly interested in this?
It's been a combination of both things. Often it's someone who has a personal experience themselves or a loved one and really just understand it viscerally and want the product themselves. But we are also getting interest from clinicians who know that their patients are not carrying the prescribed medication and love the solution that we've come up with to help them do that.
That's awesome. And what as like if we go to roadmap now in terms of what you're looking at in the next 3 to 5 years, what can investors expect to see if they invest in SemPresto in terms of what's on the roadmap? What are your growth plans? I know there's some interesting ones in terms of using it as a platform, but kind of go through what that roadmap looks like in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sure. So we've already mentioned that we're looking to bring this product to FDA in early 2028 for approval by the end of 2028. So we'll be looking to launch this product in late 2028 into early 2029. Shortly thereafter, we anticipate launching a second product. And I haven't really mentioned the fact that this is really a platform for convenient injectable rescue medications. So once we have developed the first product, the case itself remains the same, and inside the injector itself, there is a glass vial filled with epinephrine that can very easily be replaced with other rescue medications that come with similar volumes and are room temperature stable, that people need to have on them at all times. Things like glucagon for diabetic hypoglycemia, some seizure medications, some migraine and cluster headache medications, Narcan potentially, things that you really want to have on hand at all times to use when an emergency strikes. And so we're looking to build out a pipeline over time that includes many of these medications. I mentioned earlier that we also have coverage for other types of drug delivery beyond auto-injectors, including nasal sprays and inhalers and other things. And so we will be looking for opportunities to build additional products with those types of drug delivery mechanisms.
So growth will come, first of all, from the current product for EpiPen, replacing an EpiPen. But then growth could come from two different places. One is other medications that you need to carry for an emergency situation, but also different ways to deliver the medication.
There is a new nasal spray entry into the epinephrine market, and we know that there's a certain percentage of patients that really prefer a nasal spray due to fear of needles, et cetera. And so, so we'll look to address that portion of the market through an additional product as we go forward.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to hear about SemPresto and the progress you're making in bringing this to market. Feels like a really, really important thing for not a specific disease state, but for many, many people who have this, and it's a large portion of our population who suffers from allergies of some sort, and the ability to provide them life-saving medication at their fingertips when they need it for caregivers or for themselves feels like it's a real service to mankind as well as a great business idea. So I'm thrilled to have had you on our podcast today. For our listeners, you can view our listing of SemPresto at LeagueMed.com. It is up and running and available for investment. To invest, you need to be an accredited investor. It's a very easy two-step process on our website. Thank you so much for joining today, Liz, and we'll see everybody again soon for our next 5x5 podcast with medical innovators or alternative investment specialists. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. We really appreciate it.